Tonight is not ordinary. This moment is not random. As you prepare to rest, heaven is already moving on your behalf. Beloved, lay down every burden you carried today. Lay down the worries that whispered fear into your mind. Lay down the questions that kept your heart restless. This is the hour where striving ends and divine intervention begins. While your body sleeps, God is working. While your eyes close, answers are being released. While your breath slows, destiny is being rearranged in your favor. Right now, I declare peace over your mind, peace over your thoughts, peace over your heart. Every anxious thought is silenced. Every voice of fear is muted. Every heaviness that followed you into the night is lifted. You will not wrestle with stress in your sleep. You will not carry tomorrow's battles into tonight's rest. This night is guarded by the presence of God. As you sleep, restoration is taking place. Strength is being renewed. Clarity is being restored. Hope is being reborn. I declare that your sleep will be deep and sweet. No disturbance, no fear, no confusion. Dreams will be pure. Visions will be aligned with purpose. Your body will heal. Your mind will reset. Your spirit will be refreshed. While you rest, doors are opening. While you rest, strategies are being released. While you rest, favor is locating you. You don't have to force it. You don't have to worry it into existence. You don't have to stay awake trying to fix what only God can handle. Tonight you trust. Tonight you surrender. Tonight you rest in divine assurance. I speak protection over your home, protection over your family, protection over your future. Nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing stolen. This night is covered. This sleep is anointed. This rest is productive. You will wake up stronger than you went to bed. You will rise with peace, not pressure. You will step into tomorrow with confidence, not fear. Now breathe deeply, release control, let your soul settle, let your heart be still. God is already ahead of you, arranging what you cannot see. Before you sleep, make a decision. Choose faith over fear, choose rest over worry, choose trust over anxiety. And when you wake up, walk boldly, live intentionally, and move forward knowing that even while you slept, God was working for you. If this prayer spoke to your spirit, receive it, rest in it, and step into tomorrow with expectation. Sleep now and rise ready to conquer. When you rest, heaven does not pause. The moment your body becomes still, divine movement increases. Sleep is not a sign of weakness or delay. It is a position of trust. It is the moment you step back and allow God to step forward. While your eyes are closed, assignments are being carried out. Situations are being rearranged and answers are being released beyond what human effort could accomplish. You are not falling behind when you sleep. You are positioning yourself for acceleration. There are battles you were never meant to fight with your own strength. There are problems that cannot be solved by overthinking, worrying, or staying awake through the night. When you choose rest, you are declaring that you believe God is greater than what is troubling you. Sleep becomes a silent prayer, an unspoken declaration that you trust divine authority to handle what you cannot control. In that surrender, supernatural intervention is activated. While you sleep, conversations are happening that involve your name. Doors are being opened that you did not knock on. Resistance is being removed from paths you have not yet walked. God works in dimensions you cannot access while awake, touching hearts, shifting circumstances, and aligning people and resources for your benefit. What takes humans months of effort can be accomplished in moments by divine power during your rest. Rest is not inactivity. It is strategic alignment. It allows your spirit to disengage from fear and your mind to be freed from pressure. When the body sleeps, the soul becomes more receptive to divine instruction. Insight is released. Direction is clarified. Understanding settles in quietly. This is why peace before sleep is so powerful. It creates the atmosphere where God can operate without interference. Every time you choose to sleep in faith instead of staying awake in anxiety, you are making a statement that your life is not dependent on your effort alone. You are acknowledging that there is a higher intelligence governing your steps. God does not require exhaustion from you. He requires trust. He does not need your sleepless nights. He needs your surrender. There are things being fixed that you do not even know are broken. There are dangers being blocked that you never saw coming. There are opportunities being prepared that will meet you at the right time. While you rest, delays are dissolving. Confusion is being replaced with clarity. What felt heavy during the day is losing its power during the night. Sleep places you in divine care. It allows God to work uninterrupted by fear, doubt, or interference. You wake up not because nothing happened, but because everything that needed to happen has already been set in motion. Anxiety is a thief that steals peace long before it steals sleep. It crowds the mind with endless questions, imagined outcomes, and unresolved fears that replay themselves in the silence of the night. The weight of the day often follows people into their beds, turning rest into a battleground of thoughts. But this message calls for a deliberate release, a conscious decision to refuse the mental noise that demands attention when the body is longing for rest. The mind was never designed to carry the burden of everything at once. When anxiety is allowed to linger, it drains strength, clouds judgment, and distorts perspective. Thoughts begin to exaggerate problems, making challenges feel larger in the dark than they truly are. This is why peace must be spoken intentionally over the mind, not hoped for passively. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the authority to quiet them within. Releasing mental burdens means acknowledging that some thoughts do not deserve a place in your rest. Worry often disguises itself as responsibility, convincing you that staying awake equals control. In truth, anxiety produces no solutions, only exhaustion. Letting go of it is not avoidance, it is wisdom. It is choosing clarity over chaos and trust over tension. The moment you stop rehearsing fears, your mind begins to settle. Fear thrives in repetition. It gains power when it is replayed again and again. But when those cycles are interrupted, fear loses its grip. Speaking calm into your thoughts, slowing your breathing, and refusing to engage negative mental conversations creates space for peace to take over. Your mind responds to what it is fed. When calm replaces panic, rest becomes possible. Mental release is an act of permission. You are giving yourself permission to stop carrying what you were never meant to carry alone. Stress does not define productivity, and rest does not mean failure. The mind heals when it is allowed to be still. Anxiety weakens when it is no longer entertained. Every quiet moment is a step away from pressure and a step toward restoration. As anxious thoughts fade, clarity begins to return. The mental fog lifts. The nervous tension eases. What once felt overwhelming begins to feel manageable. The heart rate slows. The body follows the mind into calm. Peace becomes a shield, guarding your thoughts from intrusion and protecting your rest from disturbance. Releasing anxiety before sleep resets the internal environment. It allows emotional wounds to settle and mental strain to dissolve. The night becomes a place of safety rather than struggle. The mind, no longer under attack, can finally rest, breathe, and recover, free from the weight of imagined tomorrows and unresolved yesterdays. True rest goes beyond closing your eyes. It is an atmosphere where peace dominates the mind and body without resistance. Supernatural peace is not forced or manufactured. It settles in when fear is dismissed and tension is released. Many people sleep physically yet remain mentally alert, constantly shifting, waking, and wrestling with unease. This message declares a different kind of rest, one that reaches beneath the surface and calms the inner world completely. Deep rest begins when the mind stops anticipating trouble. Restlessness often comes from the expectation that something will go wrong, even in silence. But when peace takes authority, the nervous system relaxes and the body responds. Muscles loosen. Breathing becomes slower and deeper. The heart settles into rhythm. Sleep becomes smooth instead of interrupted. And the body is finally allowed to recover from the strain of constant alertness. Sweet sleep is undisturbed sleep. It is not invaded by fear, sudden waking, or mental agitation. The night no longer feels long or threatening. Instead, it becomes a place of safety where the body and mind are protected. Rest becomes consistent, flowing naturally without effort. There is no need to force sleep when peace has already taken control of the environment within. Supernatural rest restores what stress has depleted. Fatigue is not only physical, it is emotional and mental as well. When peace governs sleep, the body begins to repair itself. Energy is replenished. The immune system strengthens. Mental clarity quietly returns. Sleep becomes productive, not just a pause from activity, but a process of renewal working beneath consciousness. This kind of rest also resets emotional balance. Tension stored in the body is released. The pressure carried in the shoulders, chest, and mind dissolves as the body recognizes it is safe to let go. Sleep becomes deeper, cycles become longer, and the mind no longer jumps from thought to thought. Instead of waking up drained, the person rises restored. Rest free from disturbance protects the mind from nighttime fear. The imagination no longer runs unchecked. The silence of the night becomes comforting rather than unsettling. Darkness loses its power when peace is present. Sleep becomes a sanctuary where anxiety cannot enter and worry has no voice. When peace governs sleep, dreams remain calm and clear. There is no confusion, no chaos, no emotional residue carried into the morning. The mind processes the day gently, releasing what no longer serves it. What once caused tension is neutralized in rest. Deep and sweet sleep prepares the body and mind for the next day without pressure. It strengthens resilience, sharpens focus, and restores emotional stability. Instead of waking up braced for stress, the individual awakens with steadiness, clarity, and internal quiet, carrying the effects of peaceful rest forward into every moment that follows. The night is not wasted time. It is a season of rebuilding. When the body becomes still, restoration begins at levels that cannot be reached during waking hours. Stress, pressure, and emotional strain leave behind invisible damage that accumulates throughout the day, and sleep becomes the space where that damage is repaired. This message reveals that rest is not passive. It is an active process of renewal working silently within. During sleep, the body shifts into repair mode. Cells regenerate, muscles recover, the nervous system recalibrates. What felt depleted begins to strengthen again. Emotional exhaustion eases as the mind detaches from constant stimulation. Healing is not always dramatic or immediate, but it is consistent, happening breath by breath throughout the night. Mental restoration is just as important as physical healing. Overthinking, decision fatigue, and emotional overload cloud clarity and weaken focus. Sleep allows the mind to reorganize information, release unnecessary mental clutter, and reset its internal balance. Thoughts that felt tangled begin to untangle. Problems that felt overwhelming lose their sharp edges. Understanding forms quietly without effort. Spiritual restoration takes place in stillness. When the noise of the day fades, alignment returns. Inner peace replaces confusion. Strength that cannot be produced through effort is renewed through rest. This is where clarity of purpose reemerges, where direction becomes sharper, and where emotional wounds are soothed without resistance. Rest opens the door for renewal that reaches deeper than the surface. Healing during sleep is often subtle, but its effects are powerful. Tension stored in the body releases gradually. The jaw unclenches, the shoulders relax, the chest feels lighter. These physical changes reflect internal restoration. As the body releases stress, the mind follows, creating a cycle of healing that continues throughout the night. Restoration also involves recalibration. Sleep realigns emotional responses, reducing irritability and restoring patience. It rebuilds resilience, allowing you to face challenges with steadiness instead of reaction. The mind regains its ability to respond rather than react, to think clearly instead of emotionally. This internal reset strengthens both confidence and emotional stability. Nighttime healing restores energy that stress has drained. It replenishes motivation and renews focus. What felt heavy during the day becomes manageable after rest. Sleep does not erase responsibility, but it strengthens the capacity to carry it without strain. Restoration transforms exhaustion into readiness. Through consistent rest, the body and mind relearn balance. Healing becomes cumulative, building night after night. Strength increases, emotional clarity deepens, physical vitality returns. Restoration during sleep prepares the entire system for forward movement, creating a foundation of stability, resilience, and renewed inner strength that supports every area of life. The night carries a unique vulnerability, a quiet space where thoughts can wander and fear can attempt to rise. Yet this message speaks of a different reality. One where protection surrounds every moment of rest. Divine covering is not limited by darkness or silence. It operates continuously, guarding what is seen and unseen, standing watch when human awareness is at its lowest. Protection during the night is not passive. It is active, deliberate, and complete. As sleep begins, an unseen shield surrounds the home. Peace replaces unease. The environment becomes calm and secure. There is no intrusion, no disturbance, no disruption allowed to break the atmosphere of rest. Fear loses its access. Worry loses its voice. The mind can finally release control, knowing that safety is not dependent on vigilance, but on divine oversight. Protection extends beyond physical space. It covers thoughts, emotions, and the inner world. Nighttime anxiety often attacks the imagination, but divine protection restrains it. Disturbing thoughts are blocked. Emotional turbulence is calmed. The mind is guarded against unnecessary fear, allowing sleep to remain deep and uninterrupted. This protection creates a boundary that prevents mental and emotional intrusion. There is also protection over the future during the night. While the body rests, unseen dangers are diverted, delays are prevented, wrong connections are blocked. The path ahead is quietly secured. Not every threat announces itself, but protection addresses what cannot be anticipated. The night becomes a place where potential harm is neutralized before it reaches awareness. Alongside protection, favor is being released. Favor does not require effort or striving. It flows naturally, locating you even in rest. Opportunities are being positioned. Access is being granted. Hearts are being inclined. Favor works quietly, opening doors without struggle and removing resistance without confrontation. What could not be forced during the day is being arranged effortlessly during the night. Favor also creates advantage. It aligns timing, resources, and relationships in ways that feel seamless. When you wake, certain things feel lighter, clearer, and more accessible, not because circumstances changed dramatically, but because favor shifted the atmosphere. Protection keeps you safe while favor moves you forward, both operating simultaneously while you sleep. This divine covering extends to family and loved ones. Peace rests over relationships. Conflict is subdued. Tension loses momentum. The night becomes a place where unity is preserved and emotional strain is eased. Protection and favor together create stability, allowing rest to be uninterrupted by concern or fear. The night is no longer something to endure, but a space of assurance, with protection guarding every angle and favor working behind the scenes, sleep becomes secure. The mind can release control without anxiety. The heart can rest without uncertainty. Everything needed for safety and progress is already in place, operating quietly and consistently beyond conscious awareness. Waking up carries a different meaning when rest has been purposeful. It is no longer just the start of another routine, but the continuation of progress that has already taken place. Strength is not gathered only through effort during the day. It is restored during the night. When sleep has been peaceful and undisturbed, the body rises without heaviness and the mind awakens without resistance. There is a quiet confidence that settles in, not forced or exaggerated, but steady and assured. Rising with clarity changes how the day is approached. Decisions feel less pressured. Thoughts are more organized. Emotional reactions are calmer. The mind is no longer scattered by fatigue or mental residue from the previous day. Instead, there is an internal readiness, a sense that challenges can be faced without strain. Confidence grows from stability, not from hype. And that stability is built during restful sleep. Purpose becomes clearer after rest. Exhaustion blurs direction, but renewal sharpens it. When the mind is restored, intention follows naturally. Actions become deliberate rather than reactive. There is less urgency and more focus. The day unfolds with intention because the inner world has been reset. Confidence does not come from knowing every outcome, but from trusting the direction you are moving in. Awakening with strength affects posture, tone, and perspective. The body moves differently. The voice carries assurance. The presence feels grounded. Fatigue often makes people defensive or hesitant, but restoration removes that edge. There is no need to rush or prove anything. The strength gained during rest allows calm authority to replace nervous energy. Moving forward with purpose means stepping into responsibilities without dread. What once felt overwhelming now feels manageable. Confidence is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to face them without fear. Purpose is not about pressure, it is about alignment. When rest has done its work, alignment feels natural. The mind recognizes priorities without confusion. Confidence also affects relationships and interactions. There is patience where there was irritation. There is clarity where there was frustration. Restored individuals respond instead of react. They listen more carefully, speak more intentionally, and move more thoughtfully. Purpose expresses itself through consistency, not force. The strength gained from rest reinforces resilience. Setbacks no longer destabilize. Delays do not discourage. Confidence built on restoration is steady, not fragile. It does not collapse under pressure because it is rooted in renewal rather than effort. Each step forward is taken with assurance, not anxiety. Purpose-driven movement creates momentum. Small actions carry greater impact. Focus replaces distraction. The day feels organized instead of chaotic. When rest has restored the inner world, external progress follows naturally. Strength, confidence, and clarity work together, guiding every decision and action forward with stability, direction, and quiet determination.